Good day, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well today. Have a message today, as usual, for Sunday. I'm in the city today, so it shouldn't be any noise at this time of a day. So, our topic today is letting go of the past. Um, our main verse comes out of Luke chapter 6, verse 45. The good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and the evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For out of the overflow of his heart, his mouth speaks. See, everybody mentions that last part of the verse, out of the heart of a man, so he speaks. People have that part. But this verse to me means that there is no surprise what a person does or what a person says. And I know that can be a little bit extreme, but we should not be surprised by people and their words and their actions. It's in their hearts. The heart of the problem is their heart is the problem. A metaphor that I always use is the metaphor of the apple juice and the orange juice. If you go to the grocery store and buy apples to make juice, you should be expecting to produce apple juice. But so many times in our lives, people have shown us that they can only make apple juice, but then we expect orange juice from them for some reason, where it no longer becomes their fault. They're operating in how they have shown us to operate. Now, we're going to focus on quite a bit today, but the first thing we are going to focus on is surrendering. We usually look at this as a bad thing, but when Jesus surrendered, it was a necessary thing. He surrendered in the garden. He was handed over to Pilate, then to Herod, then back to Pilate. Then he surrendered to death. The same way he surrendered for our future is the same way we need to surrender our past for him. The same way he surrendered for our future is the same way we need to surrender our past for him. Some things need to die in our lives. Some things need to resurrect. There are some things about you that you should bring back. There are some things about you that you should not. The fire that you once had for God, that needs to come back. You think about when you first, got serious about God, or that first time that you turned your life over to Christ and you had that fire for him, you need to go back to that. But sometimes in our lives, things don't mix. We have to let the past go, and we have to kill it even if we need to. But there's things in our lives that don't mix. Like the old you and the new you should not mix. The person that became a new creation, as it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, that should no longer be able to mix with the old you. Now, there's a point in the ocean where the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean meet. You can pull up pictures in Google Images where that happens, and the waters don't mix together, and they're two totally different colors because they do not mix with one another. This is mentioned in the Bible, is mentioned in the Quran. The thing is, the divider needs, that divider and that line of the water needs to be just like us in the world, like the old you and the new you. They should not mix at all. They don't belong with each other. We have to give up our past. We don't need our past at all. Yes, there was things that formed us, but we no longer need to act like who we were before we learned those lessons, before we gained that wisdom. The old you should no longer be part of you. Does the new you have the courage to speak up? Now, when you go to a wedding, I know that most of us haven't been to a lot of weddings lately, but there's something that the pastor says at the end to the audience, towards the end of the wedding, and he says, "Speak now, or forever hold your peace." So it says, "Speak now," and if you don't speak now, don't try to bring stuff up after they get back from the honeymoon. Speak now so everybody can know, and so that they can not make this commitment to God. But the thing is, if you don't speak, then you don't speak. You lose the power to say something when you don't say something. We have to speak up to our old self. We have to kill our flesh. Romans chapter 8, verses 5 through 11. Those who live according to the sinful nature have their mind set on what that nature desires. But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their mind set on what the Spirit desires. The mind of sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. The sinful mind is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those controlled by the sinful nature cannot please God. You, however, are controlled not by the sinful nature but by the Spirit. If the Spirit of God lives in you, and if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to Christ. But in Christ is in you. Your body is dead because of sin, yet your spirit is alive because of righteousness. And if the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to you, your mortal bodies through his Spirit who lives in you. Now, this is Paul writing to the church in Rome, and he's talking about how we have to be, be governed by the law. It said the sinful mind is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law. So, as Jesus showed us how to submit truly to God's law, unlike the Pharisees who were just following the law for the sake of the law, not for God. But we have to kill our old self. When is the last time you killed your flesh? Or is it because, if you haven't, is it because your flesh bullies you? You try to speak up to your flesh and then you get bullied. Then bullied again. Then bullied again and then bullied again. Then you come Sunday at church and then you're back up at the altar with crocodile tears. How important is your life versus everlasting life? There are two stories that I truly like because they show two separate perspectives of men that had wealth that met Jesus. The first is of the rich young man. Now, I love this story. It's one of the times is told in Matthew chapter 19, verse 16 through 22. But in Mark's telling of the story, it says that Jesus loved the man. So this rich young man ran up to Jesus and said, "Jesus, how do I inherit eternal life?" And Jesus told the man to keep the commandments, again, making a reference to the law. And the man says, "I've kept, these commandments since I was a boy." And so Jesus replies to him and says, "But you lack one thing. Give away your possessions to the poor." And the man runs away crying because he had great wealth. And I think that, and I believe in my heart that this was a test to this man to say, how important is the thing that you put so much value in? But in Mark's telling of the story, it says that Jesus showed love to this man because he knew in his heart and how much his great wealth meant to him. The rich young man loved his money. He loved his past. He loved the life that he had before his encounter with Christ. The next story is about Zacchaeus, and this one is found in Luke chapter 19, 1 through 8. Now, I talk about these two stories a lot because I feel that it's a great juxtaposition between how much you love something versus how much you love God. So Zacchaeus, he meets Jesus, and he's a wealthy person, and when Jesus says, "I'm going to come to your house tonight," and Zacchaeus says, "Hey, I'm giving away half my money. Anyone that owes me money is forgotten, and anyone I've cheated, I pay you back. Like, I need Jesus more than I need this money." Zacchaeus gave up his wealth right then and there. He gave up his past right then and there. Have you given up your past for God? Which perspective do you have between these two men? Are you willing to give up your life? Or are you just willing to give up? Are you willing to give up your past for your future? Or do you sacrifice your future because of your past? Or does it make you sad to do so, like the rich young man ran away crying? They had two different perspectives. One said in his actions, my past life means nothing if I don't have you, Lord. The other said, "Lord, my past life means too much to me." He said, "My past means more than you, Lord. My past means more than my salvation." He said, "I couldn't dream of a life with you, Lord, without my old life. I need this old life more than I need you. My old life means so much to me." Now, there's this story in history. There's this gangster in California named Mickey Cohen, and he was a very vicious thug, very violent. He killed every gangster that wouldn't get on his team, and he met a younger Billy Graham, and Billy Graham converted him to Christianity. And Billy Graham was telling everyone, "Hey, I converted this gangster in California. I converted him to Christ. This is a great thing." because Billy Graham was, sort of the pastor for the celebrities, or the spiritual mentor for a lot of celebrities. And then weeks after this conversion happened, he hears about Mickey Cohen doing gangster things. So he calls Mickey Cohen and he says, or he visits him. I'm not sure. I know they had phones in this time period. I'm not sure if he called her. Billy Graham always tells this story. So he says, Mickey, you said that you were converting to Christ, but yet you're still committing crimes. You're still in prostitution. You're still selling drugs. You're still killing people. You're still doing all these different things. And Mickey Cohen says, yeah, I know. I'm a Christian gangster. And Billy Graham says, I don't follow. You can't be both. He said, no, sure you can. He said, Johnny Cash, you converted him. He still makes the same kind of music. He said you converted Frank Sinatra. He still makes the same sort of music. He still makes the same type of movies. He's a Christian actor now, but he just does his own thing. So I'm going to do that. People want to keep their old lives so much because their old life means so much to them. People want to be thought Christians, or they want to be drug addict Christians, or they want to be drug dealing Christians, or they want to be pimp Christians, and all these different things. But we need to take a lesson from Zacchaeus and let go of our old lives instead of taking a lesson from Mickey Cohen. We have seen what our old lives will get us. We need to stop mixing our future and our present. Just like how, hopefully you've Googled this picture about the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. They don't mix. That's how our lives need to look. Give up your old life. Give up whatever it is in the past that is holding you back from your future. So, are you ready to do that? I hope that you're committed and ready to making a change for your life. Thank God for it, and a blessing to the reading of the Word. I hope you guys have a great week. Next week will be a sermon in front of the church. Then after that, I will go back to doing the straight ahead videos. I think there's a lot more to gain from those. Just still trying to figure out the logistics of life and everything like that. So you guys have a great week. Bye.